TRL back with another Cardinals preview, and you know I was gonna make a quick post game of week one, but you guys pretty much got my reactions and my thoughts on my live stream when I streamed the game, so I didn't have to do that. But this upcoming week we're taking on the New York Football Giants, and it's our home opener for the season at Arizona. Now, I'll say this, like if you guys were to ask me like before week one if do I think our team could beat the Giants or upset them, I would have told you absolutely not. But after I saw the Giants in week one, I kind of have a little bit more confidence heading into this game, and you guys obviously know why. I mean, they didn't have any answers for the Cowboys. I know we're the Cardinals and we're way worse than the Cowboys, but at the end of the day, I mean, 40-0 is saying a lot, even though it's only week one. I will say this though, heading into this game, if you guys remember my week one preview, I specifically said that I thought our D-line was the weakest. And heading into this game, our D-line is probably the strongest part of our team right now. And I mean, they're coming off a game where they sacked Sam Howell 6 times. One of them was a strip sack for a touchdown. So our defense kept us in the game a lot last week. But heading into this week, I will say this though. One of the big concerns that I do have playing this Giants team is stopping the run game. And I mean, if you look at their roster, I mean, there's no denying that. I mean, if you look at their receiving core besides Darren Waller, who else do they really have that is a threat? I don't know if Darren Waller's actually playing because I know he has a hamstring issue. I don't know if he's playing though. But when you look at their run game, you're going from Brian Robinson to Saquon Barkley. You're going from Sam Howell to Daniel Jones, who we've seen make so many plays using his feet. So probably the biggest way and the biggest key that we have to beating this Giants team at home is by stopping the run game, which, I mean, week one, we didn't give up that much rushing yards. Washington didn't really run the ball as much as I thought they would. But for the few times that they did run the ball, they were able to keep their offense going. So if the Giants can run the ball good against us, I know their offensive line was horrendous last week. I think they gave up, 8 or 9 sacks to the Cowboys defensive line. And I don't know how many. I think they still had barely over 100 rushing yards. So for a team that got annihilated, for the most part, the run game wasn't as bad as it could have been. But offensively, a concern that I have is our offensive line still. I mean, like DJ Humphries, like besides Paris Johnson and Will Hernandez, the rest of our O-line has got to get their act together. I know Washington's front seven is one of the best out there, but especially our interior offensive line, they got to step it up. I mean, now they're playing Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams. And not to mention they got Bobby Okereke and a former Cardinal, Isaiah Simmons, who I don't think is going to be good on their team, but we'll see how he does this season. But this Giants defense is no joke. I know they didn't give up all 40 points. How much did they give up on defense? I know Dak Prescott didn't really do anything against the Giants. So, I mean, their defense technically wasn't really the worst, I guess, but at the end of the day, you know, this defense, I don't care what the score says or what the stats say in week one, Giants defense is still good. Especially their defensive line. The offensive line, they have to protect Josh Dobbs, especially after the crappy ball control that he had last week. I mean, he had 2 fumbles. Both of them were in the second half that pretty much solidified the loss. And another thing, too, if our receivers aren't going to show up, like Rondale Moore was our leading receiver with 30 yards last week. Hollywood Brown, I think he had almost 30. He was like 20-something. If our receivers are not going to show up, we have to keep running the ball. I mean, if our receivers can't find a way to get open, James Conner has to have another solid game. Keontae Ingram has to find some type of gap to get open, because last week, for the short amount of time they gave him the ball, he didn't do anything. So I do have concerns for our offense heading into this week more than I do our defense. Last week I thought our defense was going to be terrible, but they were actually the reason why we were in the game. I would bring up our secondary, but I just feel like the Giants receiving core is just too weak. So I feel like our secondary can really handle the Giants receiving core, but with our secondary, I mean, anything's possible. I mean, they shut down Terry McLaurin to 2 catches. I know he was kind of injured, so maybe that had something to do with it. But who's the Giants wide receiver one? Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard. I mean, those guys they're not no, actual wide receiver one or any big threat to us. So if we're going to beat this Giants team, our offensive line has to protect Josh Dobbs at all costs, and our defense, they have to get to Daniel Jones. And that's another thing, too. The Giants' offensive line looked god-awful. Evan Neal looked bad. Glowinski looked bad. I'm pretty sure John Michael Schmidt, even though he was a rookie, he had a couple bad snaps. Andrew Thomas, he's injured. I don't know if he's playing, but I know he has a hamstring issue. If Andrew Thomas is out, our D-line has to take advantage of this Giants offensive line. We have to get to Daniel Jones. I mean, and I'm way more confident in our defensive line after the game that they had in week 1. And another thing I want to add, too, is that today's NFL, we all know we can't play aggressive, and that's what our defense kept doing at Washington's offense. You guys remember Washington's first touchdown. They got 67 yards because our defense gave up 67 penalty yards, which is another concern I have as well. Penalties have to be on our side. We can't have so many late hits on the quarterback like we had last week, because you can't even hit the quarterback anymore in today's game, and our team has to realize that. We just have to watch out with the penalties as well, because we can't just be giving free yards to the Giants, especially when our offense is really questionable heading into this game. We can't let the Giants get free points on us, which, yeah, that's probably another, if not the biggest issue I have, is the penalties, which affect our momentum heading into this game. But as far as score prediction goes, I do have the Giants winning. I don't care how bad they were in week 1. I feel like they're going to come into our stadium on our stupid, crappy field and take all their anger out on us. I don't have it being a blowout. I have it being a close game, and I have the Giants winning 23-20. I feel like both offenses are going to somewhat struggle in this game. I feel like this will be a defensive game based off of the way both teams, especially our defense, played last week. But I have the Giants winning this game at our stadium, and I have them getting their first win of the season, and I have us going 0-2. So that's a quick preview. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you think is going to win this game? Leave it in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'm gone.